I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and I wanted to show this morning. This is the 6th of July, obviously 2 days after the 4th of July, when the United States just celebrated what they call independence from the Brits. Okay, what am I doing here then? I'm 78 years old. I was kidnapped in 41. Born in 39, heir to the British crown. I'm Queen Victoria II, the legal heir. This is my father, Edward VIII, who never married Wallis Simpson. She married a double in 1937. When illegal George VI, my uncle, my father's brother, who helped take my father down with a plot to take him down, he never married Wallis Simpson. The impostor did. In 1937, the impostor married Wallis, and Uncle George became the illegal monarch, thus Elizabeth and on down. 1937 is when they're saying that the Japanese had Amelia Earhart, and that's just been on today's news on NBC, and well, it's on the local news here, that they pretty sure they have found photos of Amelia Earhart on the Marshall Islands, and you have to really, if you cared, get into what the name of the Marshall Islands and what goes on there. But it was Japanese at the time, 1937. I do know I was born in 39, kidnapped in 41. I do know this, that Nix's, I had a picture here, okay? Well, Matthew, let me do it this way, excuse me. This is Matthew Dempsey. I was kidnapped and brought over to Moulton, Alabama, to this family that's dressed up here. They didn't look this way. This is me in about 1943. I was brought here at age 2 at 41. And this is the grandmother and the grandfather, the Dempsey twins. This is Lina, the twins' mother. They were born out of wedlock. This is James Matthew Dempsey. And he was in the Army and retired, master surgeon, I believe. Now then, I can remember, I'm going to show me again here. This is, I had my Aunt Georgia. Here's Georgia O'Keeffe, who's my aunt, who really married King. My aunt is Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist. Her sister, Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe, married my dad, Edward VIII, and they were married when he abdicated. My mom was really the queen, and it's all been the documents taken and burned by Winston Churchill, who consorted with the United States Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, the Kennedy clan. JFK actually helped kidnap me himself, is my understanding, and helped arrange the flying into Cortland, Alabama, the Army base, in 1930. Well, it was there in 41 when they kidnapped me and brought me to Moulton. So anyway, this is my Aunt Georgia, and this is me, a picture of me in high school, and my dad. Now, I want to go up here real quick. This is Ms. Roosevelt, and this is 1941 after they kidnapped me, and this is Wallis Simpson, who married the double, the American spy, and they're congratulating each other as what they're doing on my kidnapping, because that put a hitch in the takedown of my father. They took him down with lies. I mean, when they said he abdicated in December of 36 to marry Wallis, a double did, my uncle became the illegal monarch, and my dad stayed married to my mom till they died. And they were still alive October the 20th of 86 when I came to Roanoke, Virginia. This is my uncle, George, with the Roosevelts, Hyde Park, the hot dog festival. And this is where they're planning my kidnapping. This is Larry Flint. I was flown out there in a campaign because I was writing about mind control murders, and they just about killed me, and I've gone in telling about what all was done to me. It's because of who I am, not because of the book. I thought back then it was because of the book. He says here, Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, who was in that plane in August the 31st of 83, it was shot down with 260 plus passengers on their way from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. He was on it, and this is in 83 when he was on it and supposed to have died. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville. These are mind control murders, and these were some that later happened. This is James Holmes, and he's been put in a mental hospital, treated with psychotic drugs when he's programmed. He's a mind control victim. Just like this is the Aurora, Colorado, and these were done in patterns, some of them, so they can be proven. I'm going to show this again. This is me in about 1943 after they brought me here. Now I want to, this is the double that married one of them, picture of one of them. Anyway, she married a double while Simpson wasn't her. Now then, what I was going to say here, too, is they're telling about Amelia Earhart. Like, this is, really big news. Amelia Earhart may have been, well, they're pretty sure it's her. They got an FBI gentleman that has pretty much confirmed it. But then the FBI are the ones that sent me a letter in June the 23rd, my dad's birthday, by the way, in 79, an ongoing investigation, national security involved. So they very well know. I've had letters from Jack Hartsfield, FBI agent reporter, and I believe his cousin or a nephew, or Jack Hartsfield is, well, let me put it this way. Hank Hartsfield is Jack's nephew, I believe. I know they're related. And Hank was the astronaut and head of a couple of the shuttles. And I'm babbling, I guess, because, well, I've had a real experience all my life, but the last few months haven't been any better. So anyway, they're talking about they found photos and they've been identified, and it sure looks like Amelia Earhart, and she is they're saying the Japanese got her in 37, that she veered into their airspace, I suppose. And so to heck with the Japanese, This is so hideous, because I do know this. Later, when I don't know how old I was, and I didn't find out about my kidnapping until 83, when I was in that campaign after I'd been out Flint's. I can remember then, and it put the pieces together that I wouldn't have made anything of. But I can remember, and I can tell you where it was. It was across from right near Avon, can't remember her last name. She was a night nurse all those years at the clinic, which was the hospital, the little clinic in Moulton, Alabama. So it was on the highway from Cortland, Alabama, and Route 4 Moulton out there where they took me, into the town of Moulton. That the Nixes had a house there. And his wife is one of the daughters, Tressie. And I was there, and I don't know how old I was. I couldn't have been over, when I was there, not very old. He was in the Army, James Matthew was. And I must have been all of about, at that time, I might have been 6 years old. What happened is he put a video, what would be a video, up on the cloth screen, and it was of me, and I remember him taking it and following me around with the camera right after he joined the service. And of course I was younger. But anyway, he had me up there, and he said that he had been showing it at a club or a meeting where there were Japanese and Americans. So I don't know when that would have been. I must have been at least, I don't know, it might have been when he took that video, I must have been about 5. But anyway, this is a little later, and I'm in school, so it might have been a couple years, 3 years later, I don't know, when he showed it. And it was me that he took the video of, Matthew did, down at that old shack farm. And he showed it there for some reason where the Japanese and they're having this get together. Well, the Japanese, a couple of the, I don't remember if he said there were officials, let me say this, wanted to see him in the back and see the video. They were interested in it. I remember that there was paraphernalia sent to Moulton, Alabama. Japanese. Anyway, let me put it this way: the Japanese tried to help me. The Germans and Japanese, and some of my family did. And of course, you got Elizabeth, that was 13 years old when they kidnapped me. She very well remembers my mom, Claudia Ruth, and what happened. My dad and a double being used to marry Wallace. So she's lived with this lie and this great wealth that's not even hers. She's a war criminal. So anyway, I'm nothing to, ask yourself if they tell it now, and they should have always told it. Why has the media kept quiet about it? I tell you why: because who I am, what was done to my father, my family, my country, the hideous, and then for them to go around claiming to be the savior of the world, which is the opposite. So if I'm babbling, I'm going to go. I have been through holy hell. There's no other word for it. And my children, my country, and I'd like my name back. I'd like my father's name back because he was a decent, good man. That's why they took him out. He wouldn't go along with the Illuminati, and he was his own person, and he loved the British that he represented. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is old news now, I guess, that I've said it. There's nobody but God can prosecute on this one. More than half of them are dead, and the other half doesn't feel like they've done any wrong either. So I guess that's all I was. No, there is one other thing. I meant to say it, if I can get this on here. This is still going. The governor here is Governor McAuliffe, and you see, when you start giving names that I can give and have put up, you get in trouble. You got all these people that get into committing crimes, and suddenly you start telling about it, and they want you dead. I'm going to say this. There's a guy, don't let me forget his name, William Morba, is supposed to, excuse me if I mispronounced his name, he's supposed to be put to death today here in the state of Virginia. He is obviously mentally ill unless he's programmed. It's on the governor's desk, and unless he acts, he'll be put to death. Now then, I've talked about victims of mind control that like shot Larry Flynn, or they can use mind control on mass armies to program them. Or you can commit murder by, I've put this up since I did that book in 78, Tesla files were stolen in 30, and that's part of what I was writing about: murders that can be caused. You can create an illness or cure it as far back as 1930. But if you told her, look at your hospitals, everything's built around medical supplies, drugs, hospital, doctors' jobs, nurses' jobs. If you told the truth that they had cures for illness all along, now then, just the other day, they've started putting up an interview with a hypnotist, a doctor, and they're talking about how hypnosis can be used to cure illnesses. Really, they told it on, I believe, NBC morning show the other morning, and they showed it again. I've been called every name in the book and everything done to me. You have to get it before the public like that, and they accept it. What they're telling about the hypnosis and curing and that. Yet I've been telling it since I did the book in 1976 on. I was doing the book then. I worked for doctors. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, because These people that are under mind control, that are programmed, like the Virginia Tech shooter that turned around and shot himself, and I would just about bet anything the man that they shot at the baseball field that shot the congressman who's back in intensive care, this man had a list in his pocket of other people he was supposedly going to shoot. He was programmed. What I'm saying is, when you put people like this to death, and there's plenty of them there that you probably would never be able to show because it's invisible. Some of them are done in patterns. What are you going to say to these people that were programmed? They're dead. Their families would try to sue, where they probably would have tried to, didn't give a rat's about me. My point is, they're victims just like the man going to be put to death today, Morba. He's really mentally ill, I would assume, from watching the film and everything of him, but then he could be programmed himself. But a programmed person doesn't even know that they're under mind control. They have no idea they're going to shoot or kill, or they're planning a murder. They're programmed to do it. Their motive is not their motive. It's the agency or the people or the corporation doing the programming. They take this person's will away from them. They have no idea they're going to commit these crimes. And it's not their intent, and that's why they don't have a motive. And they're innocent. And how many have been put to death? How many are in prison right now?